Here is a short piece on my Mego Planet of the Apes figures. Again, like my other Megos, they're largely the ones that I actually had as a child. Planet of the Apes was a very big deal for me as a kid, it still is now. I actually saw the feature film a year or so after it was released, when we actually had a very early cable set up in our area in South London. So I saw the original Charlton Heston film on what was known as paid television in about 1969 or 70. Very small kid at the time, about 5 or 6, but the idea of a planet ruled by apes with spaceships and spacemen and the makeup and everything really fascinated me. So I grew up with an interest in the films. I saw the 3rd and 4th and 5th film at the cinema when they came out as a kid, and obviously I was dead on for when the TV show began. The Cornelius character, or some people will refer to it as Galen, but this was actually bought as a Cornelius character, Palatoy Bradgate card. Not that I've still got the cards, but this was my one as a kid. In fact, all of these, apart from the astronaut, which I never had as a kid, and Burke, the brown haired of the two guys from the TV show, I had him, but God knows where he went. This is one I bought recently, but all of the others are the actual ones that I had as a kid, with the original parts and bits and pieces. A couple of the gorillas lost guns over the years, so they're guns, original guns that I bought again at toy fairs or eBay, but by and large these are probably the best I've got of all of my original Megos. So let's have a little look. I've separated them up, if you like, from the good guys and the bad guys, if that's how you want to think of it. On this side, obviously, you've got a very, very nice version of Roddy McDowall's character Cornelius, or again Roddy McDowall's character Galen, but this figure was actually sold and it was bought as Cornelius. Type 1 body, which is the kind of more spindly, I guess cheap looking body, if I'm honest, but it stayed really nicely. The elastic's still doing good after, blimey, 36, 37 years. I would have got this when I was about 9 or 10 in about 1974, 73, 74, probably 74 I would guess. The TV show characters followed a year or so later, 75, 76. They're all the Type 2s. But you've got Zira, although Zira obviously was a character from the feature films. They used the name for a female chimpanzee character. We've got Verdon and Burke from the TV show there, all in their original gear. Burke's actually not got his shoes or moccasins. It's strange because the clothes are the actual clothes that I had as a kid, which is a strange one. But I just lost the doll, but I recently got the doll again. Astronaut I never had at all as a child. I was always a little bit disappointed with him not looking like Charlton Heston, or even having a white kind of spacesuit. It's just a kind of generic thing, but now I find him quite an appealing character, very Mego-ish, a bit of a mishmash of ideas and parts that ultimately kind of work. So I think that's one of the charms of Mego. Dr. Zayas, again original my one, nice boots with the markings on the side. Mego kept the general sense of what the characters wore, but did their own kind of thing. But it never was an issue for me at all as a child. I was very keen on the animated Planet of the Apes TV show, and I know they used to go a bit wild with some of the colours on that, as well as being, well, I was a member at the time of the Planet of the Apes fan club. I used to get the Marvel UK reprints of the American Planet of the Apes comics, so sometimes they had weird and wonderful colour schemes on the artwork there, so it was not a problem. I mean, I've got a reasonable sized Planet of the Apes collection now, with the annuals and the comics and the gum cards and stuff, but I just wanted to show the Mego type figures because it's in line with the other films I've done of late. This guy here, we had him, and I think of him as Ursus, which is the name of the gorilla character from Beneath the Planet of the Apes, but in America I believe this guy was sold as General Urko, and this character here that we had as Urko was sold as Ursus. There's a lot of Mego sites, Mego literature now, there's books and stuff, so I'm sure anyone that's really keen to find out, I mean anyone that's looking at this is likely to know anyway. This is the Soldier Ape. This was the first kind of generic gorilla figure that they sold, on a Type 2 body, this one. But funny enough, as a child I had 2 or 3 of these over the years, so I had quite an army of gorillas. The throne trap playset toy type thing in the middle is not one I ever had as a kid, it's something I picked up recently. It's just a fun action plays thing. Basically a character will be placed in the seat, but obviously he didn't realise it wasn't in fact a throne at all, it was a small cage or trap. So if you was a human and you was going to come in and think, oh, I'm going to sit down in the throne for a little while, you never knew what was in for you. But it's a bit daft, but it's a bit of fun, and I'm sure as a young kid I would have really enjoyed it, as I know lots of the American kids did, because there was lots of Planet of the Apes Mego playsets in America. But these are really, really lovely. They're very popular amongst Planet of the Apes collectors, who obviously aren't interested in Mego at all, but they want a nice Planet of the Apes collection, and these are top of the list I think for anyone that collects Planet of the Apes memorabilia, movie memorabilia, toys of the 70s, Mego. So I think that's why a lot of the Mego items are so popular and so highly sought these days, is because different groups of collectors are interested in them for specific reasons. And I guess I tick all the boxes. I'm a Planet of the Apes fan, a classic toy fan, a Mego collector. So again, if I didn't have these, if I hadn't had the sense, being a little bit older, to look after these, I would obviously be paying a lot of money for these. Just a couple of one odd little item you might be interested in seeing. This, I believe, was either given away in toy shops in the 70s in England, or possibly it came with the Planet of the Apes, or Planet of the Apes, the Star Trek board game. It's just a kind of a flyer thing, but it's very nice because it shows 3 of the lines that Palitoy sold in England, that were originally Mego lines in America. Obviously Planet of the Apes, Star Trek and Space 1999, all of which are programs and toy lines that I'm very interested in. So this was a nice little piece to add to the collection. But there you go, my Mego collection of Planet of the Apes figures, but all nice to look at, nice condition, and again, being the ones that I had as a child bring me back lots of memories of playtimes with these characters, reading the annuals, collecting the bubblegum cards, and waiting till Sunday evenings in my area when we got the TV show on. So thanks again for watching, everyone, and post a comment, or if you've got bigger or better collections than me, please post. I'd love to see them, and I know everybody else would too. But thanks as always for checking them out. Appreciate people looking at them, and hope you enjoy it.